know it's your main man, KP. You got the homie Dom. Welcome to Sneakers and Sports, brought to you by The Culture. We got a very special guest here that we are really excited to talk to. This is just the first of 3 conversations. We're going to sit down and chop it up so y'all can learn everything about this young lady and what she got going on. We got Miss Tanisha Taylor Jones.
Hello.
Yes, for the LT Foundation,
Yeah.
the famous LT Foundation.
Yes.
So cups up for the LT Foundation. And of course, we're here at the best, the greatest, the LOL Burger Bar.
That's right.
Hey, best burgers and wings in all of Atlanta. Real simple, we're easy, right?
Hey, you know it. You're
Hey,
welcome.
Special shout out to our sponsors, man. We got a couple of people we want to shout out. Barn Family Farmers, we really appreciate y'all. Spalding Realty, one of our new sponsors. We're moving up in the world, man. We're moving up in the world. That's what these boys are doing. And of course, a special shout out to my big homie. He don't want to be in the frame, but it's all right though. I'm representing for him, Fresh Division. They've been rocking with us since day one. You can find them at freshdivision.com, fresh with a Z, real easy. So let's get into this conversation.
Absolutely.
Tanisha, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you pulling up on us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course,
I'm so
of course.
happy to be here, seriously.
Yeah, we're happy to have you, man. So we want to kind of get into it. We want the folks to get to know you
Okay.
and get to know more about the foundation. But
Okay.
first, we got to get to know you so we know where to start.
Gotcha.
So where were you born? Like, we're going to start at the very beginning and we're going to kind of bring it out from there.
Okay, so we're taking it like all the way there.
Also,
Straight out the beginning. Yeah. Like, we got
you know what I'm
I
saying?
got it.
to know the
We
story.
can't start. We got to start at the beginning of the
Got
story.
it. So
Right,
storytelling time.
Yes, storytelling.
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay, so I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Okay,
Right?
okay,
But we lived in Upper Center River,
okay,
New
Okay.
Jersey.
okay.
I would strongly say that we were probably one of 8 Black people
Whoa.
in the
Wow.
city. Mhm.
Wow.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that part. So
Yeah.
what was that like that you were
Yeah.
one of 8 Black people?
You know, I didn't realize the difference until we moved, right?
Okay.
Because I always felt included and I always felt like one of them.
Right.
Exactly.
But I didn't realize until after my parents split that I only felt like one of them because they treated me like one of them because of who my father was.
Okay, so let's
So
let
it was a deeper. There was a deeper thing.
if y'all didn't catch, we got everything right here.
Yeah.
LT Foundation. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what LT is, but let's go ahead and let you tell it.
Most definitely. So I am the daughter of Lawrence Taylor, Football Hall of Fame great, New York Giants legend,
Yes.
franchise player, best linebacker in the entire world, arguing not. Because it is.
The best defensive player to ever put a
Most
jersey on.
definitely, yes.
Got a
Yes,
gold
yes,
jacket.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am his seed. I am his daughter, and that's my story.
So small family, big family.
Yeah. How many siblings?
How many siblings we talking about?
Well, it just depends on who it comes from, right?
Okay,
So my
well,
dad
Okay.
has
What you want to say?
7, and my brother has 3. So I
Okay.
grew up in my everyday life with one brother and one sister.
Okay.
But we had an older sister who we were extremely close with, so
Okay.
we grew up with her, just not in the same home.
Mhm.
Okay.
But then as time went on, more children came about, but we don't really have a relationship for real.
I got you.
So that's just how it is. But we do have a younger brother that
Right.
came in the picture, further down the line, which we do have a relationship with. So he's
Let's go.
18 now, so
Okay.
we're cool. So collectively as a whole, there's 7, but intimately, there's
So the
total
siblings,
5.
the siblings that were close, are y'all really close? It's like y'all tight like that? Like if I start a fight with one, I gotta fight all of them.
Me and my sisters, yes, most
Okay.
definitely. Like my younger sister, my older sister, when we get busy, like we are definitely really great friends. Which actually got closer as we get older. Didn't
I
start
got you.
out that way, but it is now. Like once we got married, started having children, and
Right, you got
so we had a lot more conversations to have, and we just really started doing life together, and that's when we really kind of understood the value of a strong foundation and kind of where it came
You
from.
know, explaining this strong foundation. I understand because I actually have a younger brother, and I didn't meet him until I was an adult.
Yeah.
My dad decided to
Alright.
keep the secret almost to the last minute.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
it kind of happened like that. But Me and my sister, we're a little bit closer now that we both have kids. We have a little bit more in common. So,
Absolutely.
we don't see each other as much, or we live in the same city, but we text a lot. So,
Right. Okay.
yeah. And I've already been a little further down the line than she has. I'm towards the end of the line. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. Sibling is great. I love it. I too met my second brother when I was an adult, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brendan. But we only met each other twice, and after that, it kind of parted ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's kind of hard to be as close. Where I know Dom, you grew up with your sister.
Yeah.
Like that's y'all like ride or die.
right. See,
Their
yeah.
games
It's a little different because I mean, when you're older, you kind of like you have your family that you already consider, and then it's like, you don't want to force it, but then it's like we all have our separate lives, so it's kind of like it's a little hard. It's almost like me having family up here. I have family up here, but we're not as close. So it's like, I get that portion of it. But like when you talked about being in New Jersey and so forth, they treated you differently because of they knew who your dad was. So what was the school life like? Could you say, for example, during that time?
So the school life was, it was cool. So top-notch education, everything was grand and great, right? So, but I didn't realize that I was literally the only Black person in the school. So even though I had my siblings, they had they had the elementary school, they had the middle school, they had the high school. So my brother, he was in the middle school, so he was in a whole different building.
Right.
I was in the elementary school, and my younger sister, she wasn't there just yet. So I'm literally like one of a speckle, but never even really realized it until we moved and I went to middle school. And so it's crazy how people treat you a certain way because who you're directly associated with.
Right. You start getting new friends.
But you don't realize it until you're older. So I just thought I was popular.
That's okay. Two things.
I just thought I was well liked and popular. I didn't really know the difference.
Right.
But then as you get older, you get to see the actual.
You get it.
Yeah.
If they're genuine or not.
Correct.
If they stay around and they stick around.
So how many times as you were a kid did people want to meet your pops?
Every single time.
About that or sign this. I got the football card.
Most definitely. The parents would, use the child as, leverage to get. So
that happened a lot.
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. So it also altered how he showed up for us as a father. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not going to go to these places.
He doesn't want to overtake the
correct, because he doesn't want to, not even overtake the moment. He doesn't want to have to deal with being the bad guy. You know what I'm
saying no to autograph here for my daughter.
Yeah,
I'm at a recital. I'm not here to do autographs. I guess they have selfies back then, but autographs and stuff like that.
So yeah, it altered our experience, but because our experiences were so great and so grand, you don't really realize when you're in it what you're missing until after you're older, you're processing dang, I missed out on these moments.
Right.
Because you're focused on what you're getting. As a child, you just want what you want.
Right.
But when you're older, it's like, dang, he really didn't come to any of my games. I'm like, dang, he really never did do X, Y, and Z, and we went bowling one time. It was crazy. So we went bowling, and one of the few times that he actually went out in public with us, we're bowling, whatever. We go up to get our shoes, and someone comes for an autograph. He's like, no, not right now with my family. But then literally he's like, oh, you're such an asshole. They start going off because he's literally trying to preserve that space and that time.
Exactly.
And that was the first time I genuinely felt bad. Dang, he's just trying,
Right.
But it actually turned into an altercation. And it's he's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't, because he made time to show up for us in that moment, but it still backfired. And it kind of still created a negative experience, which therefore also further supported why he didn't show up to
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Plus, if you do the one and more people ask.
Correct. As soon as you open the floodgate, it is a wrap. We were literally standing for an hour waiting for people to get what they need to get. It becomes the LT show.
Wow. Right. That's interesting because I got a good friend who played for the Eagles. And I noticed when our kids have done different things that have school events, he wants to stand in the back all the time.
Yes.
So he people don't kind of notice who he is or different things like that. And I just always thought that was interesting. Like, man, I can kind of like be in the front of my kid. But
Right,
you gotta be back
exactly.
here
Correct.
because
Yeah.
people know who you are, which is interesting. You think that caused you to be like more guarded growing up? Like that you when you started to figure out some people only like me because of my dad, not necessarily wanting to get to know Tanisha. Right?
Absolutely. I quickly learned that when I got to middle school, right?
Right.
Let me tell you, like, black people are the worst, right? I didn't realize I had issues until I met y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, I grew up not even realizing I was the problem. So it's like, oh, why you sound like a white girl? Why you
So
sound like
did you
that?
get the,
Why you dress like that?
Why you
Wait,
answer all the questions?
why you listen to that kind of music? Like, it's like, wait, so this is not normal. So I didn't even realize that culturally
Right.
I was missing out. So I grew up listening to Ace of Base, you know, like,
Culture.
yeah, like
Everything.
white culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the songs that I could identify with, they're like,
That's what they were listening to.
Yeah.
You were listening to news.
that's little shit. Like, so it's just, it was a different thing, but I didn't realize it was an issue. But then I became the butt of their jokes.
Gotcha.
Right.
But then in that moment, I didn't have anyone to really identify with. So I had to kind of like make sense of my experience on my own because my parents had just split up. You know, my brother was going through his own thing. My sister and I at that time weren't necessarily like best friends. So
Right.
I was going through my own little process. But yeah, like it was definitely kind of hard. And because the divorce was fresh and he was still playing,
Right.
he's in the news.
Exactly.
And he's also on drugs.
Right.
So every couple of months, my mom's coming to pick me up like, hey, you don't have to go to school tomorrow. Your dad's going to be in the news. Like, I just want to give you a heads up. So then when you get back to school, you're being called a crack baby and then this, that, and the
Wow.
third. And I'm like, dang, you know, so that experience although it was traumatizing, it also showed me like, I don't need everyone in my business.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So when I got to high school is when I really
You can see how cruel some kids can be.
most definitely.
It's interesting you say that because I find like a lot of parallels, and I think it's probably started the foundation of your journey to where you are now.
Most definitely.
Because you kind of like you're on an island, you want to be able to help another kid.
Mhm.
But I kind of understand that. So my pops struggled with addiction. A lot of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s era.
It was a time. Like, it was a part of the
Different versions of it.
Yeah.
Either your pops was Nino Brown, or your pops was, your pops was basically kind of doing the Pookie thing. You know?
Right,
So it's
right.
kind of tough because it affected so many of us in so many different ways, and we didn't really look at it. I remember me and my cousin, he came to visit about like 2 years ago around Christmas time. We had like an interesting conversation where, to a certain extent, we feel like the parents kind of romanticize on what we live, and not realizing like, yo, this stuff had like a major effect on us.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Pops and battling drugs and different things like that has an effect on. In my situation, my father actually robbed a bank. and guess what? Guess what I found out when the FBI called my house? Yeah, he ran off with like $20,000. He put a note in, ran off with the money.
Dang.
So I get what you're saying, where it's kind of a tough situation. So,
But what happened?
oh well, all right. So he turned himself in because he spent the money, and then he turned himself in because we had the same name. And he was like, I feel like I'm making this worse for me. So he turned himself in. And kind of hardest moment, all of it, is before he went to prison. So he got a pretty good sentence for what he did. He got 8 years. He did like 4.5 because he got like a medical release early. But the hardest part was sitting down in the visiting room. And like he's on one side of the table, I'm on the other side. He got the orange jumpsuit. And he about to go down the road. And we just had like a real emotional moment. It was kind of crazy.
Oh, did you visit while he was there?
No, because it was too far. So he did this in Ohio, and I lived here in Georgia. So it's too far to visit. But we wrote some letters, but it was just an interesting situation that to kind of be in there and he was real honest about like why he did it and kind of what he was going through. And he's like, I was just depressed and I was just wanting to have fun and like kind of ball for a minute.
So it wasn't even like he was trying to put food on the table or
No,
Guys,
he didn't have no food on the table.
listen.
He didn't have any of that. It was more like, I feel depressed. Some of it he wanted to use at the time, and it just kind of spiraled. So, with saying that, kind of having that background, how do you feel like that started to shape your journey when you got to kind of older in school and college? Like, because I know you did some things before you started finance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there was no getting around it when I was middle school because at that point in time, my brother was still in the house because, he's 2 years older than me. So he and my father share the same name. So naturally, if you know who my brother is,
Exactly.
you know who I am.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not that I went around telling people. It's just a part
This
of
is just
where we
no
were.
way.
Once my parents, once my mother relocated here and got remarried, my brother was out of the house. He was in college. So now I could create a whole new life for myself.
Exactly.
So when I came to school here, I didn't tell anyone, and I was able to kind of start creating.
Just be Tanisha.
And really be specific with my relationships and what people did and didn't know, and I was able to actually see what reciprocal relationships look like. But then again, same thing. Here comes graduation, and once they find out, it's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? And why didn't you da? Oh, well, if my dad was more and said I wouldn't be driving no Nissan Sentra. Yes, you would, because that's what you had access to. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, if my dad was. So now again, even when you don't tell them, once they find out, they still have expectations for how you should be going about the world and what you should be doing and how you should be dressing and blah, blah, blah. And so once I finally made it to college, I met literally like the dopest group of women who they were just like so comfortable being who they were, right?
Okay.
So I finally found a group of women who they were confident in who they were. They didn't care who my father was.
Right.
They were just so free and down to do whatever felt right at the time, right? I'm talking about these are college women going to the club in pajamas just for shits and giggles, right?
Wow.
Just because it's fun, right? Like this is people who they're not doing what the world is doing. They're doing what feels right to them. And I was like, ooh, I found my tribe. You know what I'm saying? And in that, birthed this whole vision of collectively how we all can come together to make a difference in our community.
Exactly.
And so we got tattoos, and we just kind of talked about our goals. And it's something that's always stuck with me. And I've really kind of made it my everyday mission to wake up every day to change the life of others, to change the life of those around me, and to make sure that the youth understand and know that they are literally as strong as they believe themselves to be. But it comes with your resources, it comes with your environment, because the biggest thing that I realized is the boundaries and the limitations that are set, it's set by those who do not want you to compete, right? So my dad had every resource in the room, or every resource that was offered to him, because of who he was.
Right.
But yet we would go to restaurants and wouldn't have to pay for our meals.
Right.
We would go to places and we would have free vacations and this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, when I get into high school, I'm literally in the same classes with parents who can't even afford clothes for their children, or who are having to nickel and dime what they are and aren't. So it's literally not about boundaries or resources. It's a system that's meant to keep you down unless you have the knowledge, the know-how, or the network, or the net worth to literally believe your way out of it. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, oh, this is some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. So I wanted to create things that give that creme de la creme vibe, but come at a community cost. And so that's always been my biggest drive, is to give our brown and black people a quality experience.
Access.
Give them access. But then also you realize that some people will take what they can take.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And they're going to get all the free stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then when it's time to get something in return, they're going to miss it.
They're going to be ghost.
Right? So that's when I'm like, okay, now I got to put boundaries around it. Because my heart is so big and my desire to want to show up for my community is so big that I want to give things away. But when it's time to collect, so that we can continue to keep giving, people don't have the same mindset. They just assume, well, your dad is going to say, you got it. No, I'm choosing to. I picked this every day.
His money is not your money. That's two different things.
Most definitely not.
This gentleman right here, talking about coming into your own, talking about, being comfortable in your skin. And also, like, his dad is somebody important where he's from. But at the same time, he's been his own guy. So he probably has some thoughts and questions on that as well, because me and Don went to college together.
Yeah.
Don was a guy, he's playing Aerosmith, he's playing smells like Nirvana. He's playing other things. Not just Hot Boys. He's playing Hot Boys. He like, come listen to Teen Spirit.
Right. Including the blowfish.
Right. But also, I think Dom took a good thing where he might have gave us some ideas of things that we didn't have access to.
Right.
Based on his situation. So I think that he probably could relate and probably have some questions.
Yeah. So I know you spoke about, going to college and you're kind of finding this tribe. So where did you go to college?
I went to Georgia State.
Georgia State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so is that kind of what brought you down to Atlanta, or?
So my mom, she got remarried. So I moved in 11th grade. So I went to McEachern for my 11th and 12th grade.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then
well.
I went, that.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Those were good.
My daughter goes to Harrison, I think.
Oh, yeah. So I went there for 2 years, obviously, and then went to Georgia State. And so my mom's remarriage is what brought us here. But I would definitely say, like, my group of friends is what kept me here for so long.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, and I know you talked about kind of your journey and kind of where you were wanting to kind of pinpoint what you want to do. So what was that like specific moment that you kind of decided you knew what you wanted to do, what path to take?
I've always known since I was a child that I wanted to be an educator.
Okay.
Right? So going to school, choosing early childhood education as my degree was never a question, because that's always been my passion. It was always on my forefront.
Right.
It wasn't until after I got pregnant with my first son that I realized that I didn't just want to be an educator, I wanted to be a mentor.
All right.
I wanted to teach people through life, not just through first grade, right? I wanted to have access to all children, all ages, all this, all that, because being a mentor is where that groundwork, first grade, I'm going to see you this year, but next year I'm passing you on to the next one. Mm-hmm. When you're a mentor, you are agreeing to work through life with whoever is assigned to you.
Yeah,
and so that is, I think, what really kicked off the mentorship vibe, was realizing, okay, I knew I wanted to do education, I know I wanted to work with children, but this is not it. I don't just want to be a first grade teacher. So then I tried second grade, I tried fifth grade, and I was like, listen, I love teaching.
Keep getting older, let's see what
happens. I said, is it a grade on this?
Jumping from grade to grade.
Yeah. I was trying to figure it out. So when I found out I was pregnant, I asked my husband, I was like, hey, how do you feel if I stop, teaching after this year, have a baby, but then come back and start my nonprofit organization, right? Okay. And, of course, he's like, but what? So it's the plan. But he didn't give me pushback. He was like, okay, let's do it. And so since then, I have literally been hustling and bustling, trying to empower the youth, not just, educate.
Speak on that real quick, because I find that to be something that we don't hear a lot of. We hear a lot about, like, husbands not supporting their wife. And I feel like that's like a narrative that's not exactly true. Because you got a guy right here, his wife owns the restaurant he's sitting in, and he supports her. My wife does a lot. I support her. What does that feel like for you to have somebody make space for you?
Honestly, like, I'm still working through it.
Okay.
Because I struggle in that space.
Oh, accepting it.
I struggle accepting it because I'm so used to getting what I want, because that was my dad's love language, right?
Right. If I'm not here, I can say yes to Toys R Us, and I can say yes to Disney.
Right? So in my mind, I just thought it was normal that he was willing to take these chances on me.
Exactly.
But as I got further in relationship, in this relationship, and further into holes and into situations,
right,
he literally keeps bailing me out and keeps pulling me back up. And so now it's like, oh shit, he really is making space for me.
Right.
And now that creates and that appeals to an emotional side that I never really had to tap into, because I've never been emotional with my father or nothing like that. It's just kind of always been like a reciprocal type thing. Hey, dad, I need this. Boom, got you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So now I'm really trying to grow in that space where I really can, like, emotionally and physically find the words and the actions that really show, like, I understand how hard and how heavy this burden is to bear, because it is not easy.
No.
And I do throw money at things because that's what I've seen and that's what I know.
Exactly. That's what you know.
But every time it gets me into a bind. You know what I'm saying? And then when it's time, it's not my daddy bailing me out, it's my husband.
Exactly.
And that is just, for me, like, it's rare. So it's a space where I'm trying to really accept and understand.
Spoke to me. You just said it's my husband. A lot of people have a hard time when you blur that line where your parents always gonna be your parent,
Mm-hmm.
but you do life and walk with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard thing to kind of balance. And sometimes it's even hard for guys to play the background. For me, I think it's great. I'm like, yo, man, you got something going on? I got something going on.
Right.
We going on now.
Right.
So
Right.
you kind of look in that space, but I think that's also something that kind of speaks to what you're doing with the foundation and probably helping you out
Mm-hmm.
with these young people to be able to say, hey, it's okay for you to be Robin
Mm-hmm.
and this person be Batman.
Mhm.
Just take
Absolutely.
turns.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Absolutely.
And
It
I
has no
find like-
gender, it has no
Yeah, a lot of
expectation.
times everybody, to your dad's point, everybody want to be LT, but they
Mhm.
forgot, yo, there's a guy on the line that blocked that offensive
Correct.
lineman so he could get that set.
Mhm.
It all worked together.
Mhm.
So,
Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
That is one thing I can honestly say, like, my father has never put himself on a pedestal, right? And so him and my mother, they have created such a village for us that we don't know that victimized, that sob story.
Right.
Because the same friends that they had 30 years ago are the same aunties and uncles that I go to now, who help put me in positions so that we can be at the Super Bowl, that we can have these, these events or do these things. So they kept their village so tight that their village is now our village and their kids are now, our extended
It's all
brother.
family.
You know what I'm saying? So having that group, he's never made it like, oh, I'm this and they're that. It's always like, we show up for the people we care about, whether that's financially, mentally, whatever. You need something, we got you.
Mhm.
So that sense of teamwork, that sense of value, that sense of loyalty,
Mhm.
I get that from both of my parents because they are loyal to a fault to whoever they connect with.
That's what's up.
And so that makes a difference in how I show up too.
okay. So, all right. So, what was the specific point where you said, okay, I'm starting this foundation? When was that? Can you take us back to that? Yeah.
Most definitely. Okay, boom. So, because like I said, I feel better in spaces where people do not know who my father is, right? So, I created a nonprofit organization. That's the one that I started with my group of girlfriends from college.
Okay.
My husband and I, we opened up a school. So now I'm doing the work and I have these students and I have these families that I'm signed to and I'm doing. And again, it's doing what it's supposed to do. But when you ask people to donate or to fundraise or to support, there's nothing, right? So again, you're doing all this and you might make $5,000.
Right.
Well, here comes COVID. We ain't got nothing but time, right? We got nothing but time and opportunity. And so it's a random day. And I'm like, F this. I'm working way too hard trying to prove that I can do it without my father's name versus actually acknowledging that, hey, maybe this is why he's your father. Because it's making space for your vision and your purpose.
Right.
Okay, well, let me figure out how that looks. So I called my best friend's husband. Hey, Cliff, what about this? And we sit on the phone and for several days, we come up with this whole program and we come up with questions and all these things about and brainstorming through it or whatever. And that's really like literally the turning point where I realized I'm going to use the same things that I've been running away from to set me up for where I'm going to go next. And within that, we had a golf tournament. We've had 4 to this point. And in those 4 years, I've raised over $120,000
Wow.
just because people want to be close to him and support. And if they'd rather support an event and show up at a golf tournament
Right.
and throw $10,000 towards a cause.
Right.
But when I'm actually in the building every day and you see that I'm working with these children and I'm asking for $250, I can't find it. So for me, it was a way for me to appeal to those who have,
Yeah. Right.
but make space for those who I actually serve on a daily basis.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that COVID definitely did it for me. And that's when I realized, okay, cool, we're going to start doing the More Civic Foundation. And we're not just going to help my organization, but we're going to attach ourselves to other organizations that are also doing the work.
Right.
We're going to fundraise for those organizations as well. And then we're going to give back to them, you know? So the foundation specifically, that's their goal, to leverage his likeness, his image, to support the work that's being done by various communities. Mentorship, education, all of those things. We don't have time to do all of that.
Right.
But as a community and as a whole, it's being done already.
Right.
And he has so many relationships in these different spaces that, hey, he's from Williamsburg, so we have a partnership group with them. He's lived in Florida, so there's a golf group for life that, you know, he supports. So we used his network
Yeah. Right.
of organizations, and that's how we kind of crafted and created who we would get back to. But yeah, we used what we had access to, and that was his name and his image.
That's dope. So something that y'all said over ahead of time, and spoke to me. We talked about this on the phone before we did the interview. It's a picture of you and your dad. It's Christmas, and he's like, you sitting like in the lap, and that kind of like made me say like, dang, that's cool to have that moment and now have these moments. So, what was it like having that conversation to say, hey, let's do this together, and here's what the goal is.
Right.
Because I felt like when I saw the picture, I felt like that's when the moment happened. It just took a long time to get there. But that's what I saw when I saw the picture.
That's a good question, because although I had that conversation and we talked about it, he understands that realistically, the foundation is my vision and my goal, right? So it's not like, oh yes, Tanisha, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna ask myself every day how we can go and save the world and make a difference. It's more so, I support you. I know this is your passion. I get why you want to do this, but understand, you can only expect me to show up to 4 different events.
Exactly.
Okay?
All the time.
I'm not coming to everything. Okay.
Exactly.
So pick your top 4 events. I'll make sure I show up.
There you go.
Anything outside of that, it takes lettuce to make a rabbit hot. You know, it's like he in that moment he's teaching me, I get what you're trying to do, but I'm a business, I'm a brand. You're
Right.
not just gonna drag me around
Right.
without acknowledging the business side first.
Exactly.
So he set the expectation to let him know that he supports the work that's being done. He understands why his name's on it. But even now as a foundation, we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we take this name, take this organization, but also set the tone that this work that's done is built off of the foundation of experiences that we had based on his legacy and who he was.
Right.
And we want to create those spaces and those resources to the community. But you can't expect that just because I'm doing a toy drive or a giveaway that he's going to be there doing it
Right.
too.
Exactly.
The foundation is a brand, is a name based off of his work, but it's not something that he literally, does on a regular basis. It's not his job.
I mean, Bill Gates is not in every
Correct.
foundation.
Exactly.
His foundation, he's
Correct.
not in every event, so that makes sense. What I get from that too is kind of like somebody had said, and I heard this was a dope quote. Said, as a parent, you lay the steps, right? So if you walk in the snow, you tell your kid to walk in my same steps, make it a little bit easier for them. So I think that's something that I would love to see our community embrace. We typically, like, I got out the mud. My mom got out the mud. It's something like, yo, man, why not put your kid on third base and make it a lot easier?
Yeah.
And then they put the next kid on, third base and kind of go that way. And we kind of look down on that, which I feel like that's the whole goal, being a parent, to put your kid on third base.
Right.
The other people that don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know why we do that, but you can kind of speak to that. Like, kind of, did you run any problems with people like, kind of not wanting to do it because they felt a little upset or that you did have a boost or somebody to help you along?
I would say no, but I would say no honestly because before I got to the foundation part,
Mm-hmm.
the nonprofit organization and the school, we've been open for 8 years. I was doing it 8 years
Right.
without his name.
Right.
So I just started leveraging his name. But before that, we have a track record of programs and resources and mentors who literally still to this day are heavily plugged in to, to the work that we do. So I haven't really experienced that, but that's because I think I genuinely make dope ass connections. Like I'm such an authentic person
Right.
that the relationships that I attract, people get me and they know me before they even. So I haven't met that yet. And if I do, it's cool because my work speaks for itself and my resume is
That's
top tier.
I love that, man. I love that.
All right. So you talked about certainly telling your dad, hey, there's certain events that I want you at. So kind of tell us a little bit about the events that certainly the foundation puts on and how those events contribute to the mission and objectives of the foundation.
Okay, great. So we started doing the LT Golf Classic 4 years ago. So that's our best one. Like that one is literally the most fun. We bring some of the most awesome corporate groups and just supporters, and we have 2 days of just like shit talking and
Just
it's like listen, if you
And
really come
this
to
makes tournament call you boy.
I want to do that.
No, forget that.
Me and Mike
Tell this
Expert.
man that he needs to be golfing. Like, come
No.
on, it's not like,
No.
come on,
No,
it's
make
not
fun of me.
like we always
I
go
look
back
like
and
Charles
forth.
Barkley
This
when I
is
golf.
ridiculous.
I'm
No,
not out there for y'all
it's
too.
not
Listen,
about that. There's people that are trash out there. Playing golf
No names,
and having
please.
fun.
No names, please.
I do think
Your man right there done invited me probably since the first one.
oh,
And I always told him, yo, man, I'm not good at that. I'm not about to be out there
Nah.
like Charles Barkley.
you
No,
just come and hang out.
he want me to play it. I told
But
him,
here's the thing. See, I think Kevin thinks like they're all going out there like pros.
try to
They're
get me
Tiger
over-
Woods.
Oh,
No,
our
nobody's like
mission.
that.
No.
Well, for the golf tournaments, we're passing out shots.
Yeah,
like,
well,
it's
they're
a lot.
You're drinking.
It is a lot.
So,
like,
I went with my
It's a party in the
I
golf.
went with my
course. That's what it
And
is.
so I was thinking, I'm like, we out here to have fun. They ran me off the table. I left with no plan. So I
Well,
was like, I ain't gonna do that again to myself. I ain't gonna play myself like that.
No, listen, this specific event, I'm not saying golf in general. Golf is a serious thing. They take it seriously.
Yeah,
But
they
on this weekend,
That's Michael Jordan. He 20
what
dollars
they
a
play
game.
together, they play per ball. Okay. And it's like, what? Y'all bet how much ball? It's crazy, but that's their solitude. That's their, their escape. And I didn't get it in the beginning, but now I do get it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I get it. But yeah, no, you should definitely join us. Like, it is so much fun.
All right, I might try it.
And we entertain and we make sure we bring some really great talent out and we have a good time. But that's literally one of our biggest fundraisers. Like literally, like I say this year, we raised a little over $100,000
Nice.
just off of this event. And then we do our tour drive in December, which is coming up. So we're gonna talk about that.
We might have something we want to talk
So
about.
we can, so we have our tour drive. And then February comes our Super Bowl event. So we go out wherever the Super Bowl is. We bring some type of experience to the youth, right? So you have all these dope entertainers and athletes and people in the city, but everything's geared towards the big game, right? No one's really plugging into the youth. So our goal is to bring dope experiences to the youth in that community because we want to be able to empower them and let them know, like, hey, you too can do whatever and however. So we want to bring people out and let them say their piece and empower them and stuff, and then go out and have fun and enjoy the parties and stuff. So a 2-day event is coming to a city near you.
Okay.
New Orleans, we're on the way. And then they also do a golf tournament in Florida with For Life as well,
Right.
where they raise a great deal of money too for after school youth, where they teach them to play golf, to keep them off the streets and, in gun violence and things of that nature. So
I love it.
shout out to Paula Tucker for that. She's been doing it for about 11 years now.
Well, again, you want to have a spades tournament.
You want to do that.
You call me Mike expert. We want everybody
I want to do like steak and spades. So it's like a steak dinner,
Let's do it.
but it's like black tie, but it's like,
And me and Mike expert calling y'all on y'all, bro.
Okay.
Y'all ain't gonna see us.
oh,
We don't renege over here. Ain't that right, Mike expert? We don't renege over here.
listen, we can go any kind of way. But yes, I plan on doing something like that really soon.
Wasn't there also like cigars and cocktails?
So that's the night before the golf tournament. So it's still part of that 2-day experience.
So it's a whole weekend.
It is a weekend.
Yeah,
it's a vibe. Like it's a vibe. So
Yeah.
Cooper Global, they always do our transportation. Like we have such a great group of sponsors and just supporters, and it's great to know that these people will support and continue to keep coming back. Tim Becker from Ameriprise, like it's just really great. It's so much fun.
That's
And,
dope.
That's dope.
it's for a great cause, so it's cool.
So I gotta add, we're gonna pause it here because we gonna sit down with you 2 more times.
Yeah,
You
we
got a
I'm
lot
bringing
more.
my dad next time
You
in
got a lot
December.
more.
For this.
Yes.
Next one is gonna be great because
Yeah.
he's a fool. So
Yeah,
I'm
you got
bringing him
some
next
things left on the table, but what I do want to ask you, and first off, I want to thank you for your work because
Absolutely.
I think it's always important, for a lot of people, we worry about our kids, but all the kids.
Mhm.
I coach basketball just because I want to give back.
Mhm.
It's important for me. The game gave me a lot. I want to give something back.
Mhm.
And that's just my little thing you can do. But you're doing something big, which is really helping the youth, and it's really important in this community because
It
it's very
is.
underserved.
they're our future.
Yeah,
Somebody
straight up,
gotta raise
literally.
them. Okay, you
So-
on social media.
Before we get out of here, we're gonna get you out of here with this. I love the merch. Look it out.
Yeah.
Where can people find that at?
Right.
Where can they find the merch? We need to know that.
Mhm.
And they need to know the actual site because some people they don't want to give. Some people don't want to volunteer. We want to make sure we get them to the right place. To the right
Absolutely.
person.
Most definitely, first and foremost, shout out to Zell for the merch. Okay.
Hey, he's
Fresh
on down on.
Edition sneaker connoisseur in the building.
So I thought I was your main man. I've been knowing you since day one.
Listen,
Man.
don't gatekeep.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
you got enough to go around for
God.
y'all. Yeah, okay.
Right. I ain't gonna go
Quality.
fresh division on today.
Quality over quantity.
Hey, you see how they do me down?
No, listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Hopefully next time I have one. We'll see. No, tell me what's the site.
So on my dad's IG page, the link tree is there where you can actually have access to the website and to not just the website, but the page where you can shop from the merch store. Most importantly, we are going into our donation fundraising season because it is our Smile on a Christmas Morning time, right? So our goal is every Christmas we adopt 56 families to make sure that every child smiles on Christmas morning, right? And so our goal is that they have something that they want, something that they need, something that they can read, and something that they can wear. So they fill out this form and they write out, something they want, something they need. And then what we try to do is we try to shop each person's list to make sure that they smile on Christmas morning. So that drops the day after Thanksgiving, so Black Friday, and it goes all the way until December 15th. 100% of those donations, whether you purchase merch, whether you just make a donation online, whether you just send us a check in the mail, 100% of that goes towards our Smile on Christmas Morning initiative because everyone doesn't have the opportunity to create dope experiences,
Exactly.
but we as a community can make life doper when we come together. And so go to his Instagram page. Definitely click the link tree.
The Instagram, just in case, some people.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, it might be Lawrence Taylor. You want to make sure you get to the right Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor.
There might be Lawrence Taylor Jackson. You want to make sure you get to the right place.
Check my handles though. Is that right? Is it just Lawrence Taylor, right? Not the Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor
Lawrence
56.
You know?
All right, so real quick, y'all need to hear it. Lawrence Taylor 56 on Instagram. It's gonna be on the screen right now. Lawrence Taylor 56 on Instagram.
Mhm.
I got a quick thing about your homie Clip. Me and him, we've been knowing each other a long time, and we used to both volunteer for an event where we used to work, where we gave out they collected like all the toys, right?
Mhm.
And you could volunteer to actually give it to the people that was gonna get it. And I mean, both times, every time we did it, we were just blown away because you actually see the gratitude in
Most
some
definitely.
folks' face when they get
Mhm.
the bike
Mhm.
or whatever it is the kid needs. It could be clothes, and they just were so appreciative. And it's so funny because some people always be like, some people complain. That's like 1% of the people.
Right. Right.
It was literally like 1%. And if that's what you took away from it, then you missed it.
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
it was more about the people that needed it and would not have it.
Mhm.
And we were always excited to do it. Tired because we
Yeah.
literally carrying bikes in people's cars all day long. We putting bikes together.
Yep.
We carrying big satchels and like we like Santa Claus carrying the bags, but it was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
So when y'all do that, definitely call us. We
I
gonna
want to
do it.
just highlight that really quickly because for me, that's my why, right? There's so much power in community, right?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned how you and Cliff have been doing this for years, right?
Like
And so
years.
the best part and the reason why even I'm able to keep going is because the tribe we tribe in, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
literally that same Cliff that you were passing out bikes with 10 years ago is the same one who's at the golf tournament at 6 a.m. setting up stuff like because it's naturally who he is and who he's been called to be. He's that same person now, right? Same thing with Zoe. Like you know him from a different experience and a different path in life,
Oh,
but
straight
he's the
up.
same person, you know, doing exactly what he was called to do to bless this organization, right? So when you have power in the community and it's being leveraged to have the right conversations and to yield the right returns, you have no choice but to put a smile on other people's faces and how that makes you internally feel. It literally can fuel me for 6 months. Doing one event can literally keep me going for another 6 months.
It's also helpful when you got people that actually hold you down.
True.
Your team solid. Like
Solid.
anytime I've ever called, so pick up what you need, OG, I got you. It's there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like one of my favorite things he did. We was going to the SWV concert. Me and my wife, he gonna turn up. So like, well, you can't turn up without the right gear, big homie.
That's right.
So he made sure
Yeah.
I was laced for the concert, and it just meant a lot to me because it was a fun experience. So anytime I get an opportunity, I always, shout out Fresh Division because they always show me love. And then same thing with Cliff, man. Cliff has always been a stand-up guy, like
Right.
day one.
Mhm.
Day one.
Most definitely.
I told him, I said, man, you're a real stand-up dude. That's rare you see these days, man.
Mhm.
So it's real cool, man. So you got an amazing team. Y'all got an amazing story.
Top down.
Yeah,
Shout out to my best friend. I love you.
yeah. Hey, that's where it starts at. You know
Shout
what
out
I'm
to my best friends. My sisters, my mom.
Go ahead, just say that.
Everybody.
All right, so she said no names, please. But shout out to the family.
Shout out to my kids.
So y'all know where to find her. You know what I'm saying? On Instagram, Lawrence Taylor 56. Super easy.
I'm sorry, what?
And then your personal
Oh,
IG there. So
it's my personal
you gotta get your follows up. Like, yo, man, we need y'all to follow. Hit that.
Let's be clear though. I just post to let people know that like I'm really doing stuff, but not to
It's hard. It's
engage.
hard.
Like
man. It's
I'm
hard.
not here to go. I don't want to spend 1,000 hours on my phone trying to like
Comment back.
listen. Just know I'm out here and I'm doing the
Just,
work.
you
And
know,
I'm,
do a couple
you
of
know,
them.
like. But Tanisha Taylor Jones is where you can find me.
Okay.
For the
Feel
people
free
in
to
the back,
follow.
Tanisha Taylor Jones, Super Easy on Instagram.
Yes.
That's what's up. Hey, y'all know the LT Foundation is out here doing real big things for the community. They're easy to find. Y'all need to pull up. Y'all need to donate. And more than that, y'all need to donate y'all time.
Definitely, yeah.
You always ask people to donate money. That's cool. We can do that. But donate y'all time to these youth, man. It's really important.
Yep.
We appreciate you pulling up.
Thanks, guys.
We're looking forward to it. We're going to see you again.
Yeah.
We did it.
So in the next one, y'all going to find out more about, her.
We'll dive deeper into the
We're going to dive deeper in it, what they're doing now. And then in the last one, y'all going to see what's coming in the future because it's looking pretty bright, man.
Don't
So
forget
y'all
to ring my dad.
like, share, subscribe. We're real easy to find.
Subscribe.
We got some other big guests coming up.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so Dom, go ahead and let the cat bag on one up, man. Why not? Turn it. No. All right, you should have knocked this time. All right, go ahead and do that. Y'all-
Who was it?
What?
Hey, he'll take offline.
I'll tell y'all why. Yeah.
Y'all pull up. It's be easy to find at the Culture One on Instagram. We appreciate everybody. We'll catch you on the next.
Peace.